devotees. So can we continue?
Yes, Srila Gurudev.
All right. So we continue our discussion on leadership in the teachings of His Holiness Bhakti Swami. So we have recently looked at conflict at different levels, how to resolve the conflict, the benefit of conflict. We look at this. We also look at the facilitators, their qualifications, their mood, and the level of consciousness they should maintain as a leader. And as a leader, we deal with this every day. Practically every day, we have to deal with so many issues. Conflict between devotees, conflict among our self-leaders, conflict of personal conflict, personal conflict. We also have conflict of interest, even personal interest. We want to be a devotee and also our social responsibilities. There's different levels of conflict. We have looked at all this, progressing on the teachings of His Holiness Bhakti Swami on the leadership issue. Today we have come to this also important topic: managing time in relationship to reality. So generally, when we look at time, when we look at time, what are we looking at? The moment we say time, we will remember about the Gita of Krishna said, "Time, I am," and the destroyer of everything. That's how Krishna defined time. And then we look at it closely, we'll see also time is calculated as, or how Krishna say his time and the destroyer of everything. How time is the destroyer. Time destroyed by definition, past, present, and future. The past, the time has taken away, time has destroyed that. Present, we're dealing with it. So one experience man said, there is no time like the present. It's very nice. There is no time like the present. Because times will bring us happiness, time will bring us distress, anxiety, frustration, lamentations. Time also will bring death. So we look at time, we're looking at death personified. And so Krishna identified himself with the time, because in that his future, he controls everything. Time controls everything. And with time, the time has very powerful weapon or agent in the name of the three modes of material nature. A mode of nature controls everything and conditions us to a particular lifestyle, particular level of consciousness, particular understanding, particular type of things we do, or food, or reasoning. A mode conditions us to so many things. The time, the future of time. So we will listen to Gurudev have presented here. Managing time in relationship to reality. So, why is it important to be concerned about time? That's a very good question. Very thoughtful. And every one of us should answer this question individually. Of course, Gurudev has explained it here, but still we should look at it individually and try to answer it individually. All of us should try to answer it individually. Why is it important to be concerned about time? Time is life. Yes, that is why we should be concerned. Time is life. The way people manage time reveals much about their personalities, their conception, their perceptions of themselves, their relationships to their fellow creatures, and their connections to the cosmos. Time is life. And some people say time is money. Some people say time is money. Time is life. Because time deteriorates everything. Time forces us to surrender unwillingly. At the time of death, everyone surrenders, whether we like it or not. No one is exceptional. In fact, it is time that makes us equal. At the time of death, people are struggling to be equal, equality. They are fighting for equality, but they cannot be anything which is equal except death, which is a representation of the time. Death change everything. All our plans are put to an end. All desires the same. All aspirations are put to end by time. So time is life. And many people don't have time, which is correct. Many people don't have time, which is correct. Why it is correct? Because time is not their property. Time is Krishna, so it's not the property of anyone. Except the pure devotees. So only pure devotees have time. Non-devotees does not have time, does not have Krishna. So there are many subheadings here. A master of perception. Time is a matter of perception. Based on different cultural differences. Time is treated differently in various cultures. The world view of people from different nations, races, and tribes is intimately related to how they perceive time. Fewer interpersonal difficulties occur between people who share a similar perception of time. In India and Africa, for example, two people who make an appointment will not be disturbed if one of them arrives an hour or so late. Whereas in the West, such behavior will be considered irresponsible and inconsiderate. Yes. I just talked to one devotee because we're supposed to start a lesson by 10 o'clock, 10:30. And because we're going to start by 10:30, I expected that I should have the link 30 minutes before the time. But I did not get it until exactly the time, 10:30. So I was disturbed. I was speaking to the devotee. Why are you so late? So, what's the problem? What's the problem? I just, yeah, I gave you the link on time, exactly 10:30. So here I have a different understanding, and the devotee also have a different perspective. Because one who is used to being late at every program, we don't see that as a problem. Meanwhile, somebody who is always on time for everything that he or she does, that would be a serious problem. You can anxiety. As Gurudev mentioned here, it is considered irresponsible and inconsiderate behavior. But the person in question did not see it that way. He was seeing that it's okay, no problem. No problem. No, there is problem. The problem is that in a different culture from ours, where they consider every time to be very important. Of course, not for Krishna consciousness, but for their sense gratification, still their discipline, their culture, therefore, they value time. So he didn't send the message to me. I was expecting 30 minutes before the time, because sometimes you open the net, the internet is not working. And you are thinking, oh, I want to fix it because people are waiting for me. In that way, you get anxiety, trying to fix it on time. So some people will prefer to avoid this kind of nonsensical acts, because we are not a controller, we are not a supreme. So we cannot calculate things like that. We have to calculate things ahead. We don't forget things, but we have to calculate things ahead. But that was not it, because the person was so broken a tradition. We coming late for any program is a Sunday edition. And even while they on the duty, one can abandon the service and do something. So we have a different understanding about time and how we are affected by that. It's very important. Western countries usually have a more dependable infrastructure in place to support punctuality. They have the facility and also the plan to meet up. But in some places, if the facilities are not there, and we also don't plan ahead. So everything is late. And when everything is late, many things will be affected. So for example, you are late to start the program on time. You're also going to be late at closure. And when you are late at closure, you're going to be late at the time you're going to do some other things, like maybe there's someone who take some food before resting. You're going to be serious for it because the time will not follow. Or we do things without considering that the time is not depending on us. The time is always moving. So we're not going to be very effective in our leadership if we don't understand the importance of time and keep to it perfectly. Second, based on technological advancement. Technological advancement in transportation and communication systems make interruptions in service more infrequent. Yes. Westerners had therefore held more accountable to being on time. In much of the third world, however, events do not always proceed so smoothly. The systems can break down unpredictably. Therefore, lateness is not considered a serious offense. It's a serious offense. But according to the mode that governs us, we are going to consider it seriously or we are going to overlook it. I do nothing serious about it. When people are enjoying themselves with friends, the hours fly by. Whereas when they are forced to associate with someone they dislike, a few moments will seem like an eternity. Time is relative to how the senses experience it. That is true. For a person who is sick, the person who is sick, the time look very, 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 very long. And for a person who is in good health, or by good definition, someone who with good friends and good discussions, or exchanges are very pleasing. Time is very short. But someone who is very, very busy, fully absorbed in doing something, either it is Christian conscious activity or modern activity, time also is very, very short. But the person who is suffering, time is very long. The person who is sick, time is very long. The person who is suffering, time is very long. When we have a relationship with the person whom we don't like, the time also is very long. Very long time. But when we are with somebody who is very much like by the association, the time is very, very short. Very short. So time is relative to our condition, our present condition. So it is said there is no time like the present. Either it is a good time, we are really having a good time, or we are really in difficulty, so much traumatic situation from all directions. Time looks different. Time is space and time. Space is inseparable from time and plays an equally important role in shaping a particular worldview. Based on cultural differences. Like time, space is relative among and within cultures. And distance is often defined by personal experience rather than by physical measures. For example, someone from a rural area may consider a 5-mile walk to be very short because the person has been doing that, because walking such a distance is an everyday experience and not an imposition. However, a city dweller lacking such experience might perceive those 5 miles on foot as an extraordinary distance. It would be a very inconveniencing exercise, the walk for 5 miles. But the person who has been doing that regularly, either going to the farm or going to the market from the village, in case the village is big and the market is far, the walk that distance is exercise. It is a very sweet experience for those who are accustomed to that, those who are from the village, and a very distressing situation from those who are from the city. Time based on relationship with the body. Space and time are perceived in relationship with the body. For example, for a small insect, the distance from one side of the house to the other is vast, whereas a human being simply walks the distance in a matter of seconds. Some insects and other life forms are born, reproduce, and die within 24 hours, which is a lifetime to them. For human beings, however, 24 hours seem insignificant in the totality of a lifespan. Yes, this is how we view time. It's also relative to the size of our body. The same way with the higher personalities, like the demigods, their perception is different. Like we had in those days when people are very, very tall. So taking one step, for such people, taking a step or 2 steps, it will be like 2 kilometers, which is very, very unbelievable. It's a difficult thing for a person on our category, on our level, with our size, our present day size. Walking 2 kilometers is very big. But a person in those days were very, very tall, very, very tall. 1 step or 2 steps is like 2 kilometers, a kilometer or 2 kilometers. The same with the other animal forms, like insects. There are some insects, they are born in the night, they will grow within the night, they will reproduce within the night. Before the day, 24 hours, their 100 years is finished. So their duration of life is relative. Their time is relative. For them, our duration of life we consider to be very, very, very long, unimaginable to them. Just like for us, when we hear about the personalities in the past, it's unimaginable. How is that? How is it possible that someone can have such a height? But it is possible because we can see from our own experience, different from that experience of the significant hands. According to how the body interacts with its environment, and according to the speed at which the body deteriorates, each person develops a unique perception of time and space. These various perceptions of time and space can be important to you into your interactions. As a leader on local, national, and international levels, with such variations in mind, you can be alert to the other party's perception of time and be considerate of the other person's worldview. Such sensitivity will help you establish a positive perception and a receptive environment within which cooperative relationships, agreement, and negotiations can flourish. In other words, we should not just look at things only at our level. We should look at things by considering other people. We already discussed how to be a good leader, we should not feel that we should not have this mindset that my way is the highway. My way is the only best way. No, my way is not the best way. My way is not the best way because I'm not the best person in the world, in the universe. I'm not. So our ways cannot be the best and the only way. There are many ways. Many ways mean that there are different levels, different categories of people, or different levels of everything. Everything. And there's beauty, understanding, wealth, riches, or facilities, so it's everything. So we have example of this in Normachanda's being sensitive towards the squirrel's capacity to serve compared to that of Hanuman. The difference is based on space. The squirrel can lift only small, just small, insignificant, like insignificant size of a stone, which is not useful for constructing it's just a mighty bridge. But Ramachandra appreciated because he considers and he knows as a perfect supreme leader. So he knows the differences and he appreciates all. Hanuman has the capacity to lift a big size a stone like a mountain. He can do that. That is his capacity. But the squirrel doesn't have that capacity. He can only take very little, very insignificant. But Ramachandra appreciated that is his size. And that is his best. And for Hanuman, that is his size, and also that is his best. Both of them are very much considered. But time belongs to God. As a representative of God, one, contrary to popular perception, time is not anyone's personal possession. Time belongs to God, and each person is its caretaker. Yes. Time is not our property, it's property of God that we have already mentioned. Therefore, someone keep his thing with you or her thing with you. We have to use it for the person's life. Because the person who owns it, he knows the value and importance, but the reason why he has things. So when it is cared about us, it is our responsibility to use it for the person's benefit. And we can benefit from it. Two, Those who view time in this way will be even more careful with it than if it were their own. Yes, someone's property kept with us is given more attention because if it is lost, we are in trouble. But if our own thing is misplaced, we will not have much problem as if it is someone's own. Therefore, as a leader, we have to be very, very careful and concerned about time, how to use time, how to make use of time. 3, given that the time ultimately is God's, every individual can remember to treat it with love and respect, not waiting to disappoint God. People can take care to be meticulous in all the activities, so as not to disappoint one who is so powerful and dear to them. Time is God's property. How do we use time? So Rupa Goswami mentioned that the symptoms of a pure devotee, Madhyam Bhakta, Uttam Bhakta, is that pure devotee, that they don't waste time. Why? Because they know the time is not my property. It is someone's property kept under my care. Therefore, I have to use it properly. And the person can come at any time to ask for it. We don't have to have excuses to deliver. That will help the person who gave us that to bring again and again. And in this way, we'll always be happy and progressive. So, as a leader, we don't want to disappoint the God who has kept the time with us. Therefore, we are very, very careful in how we use our time. We don't waste our time for unnecessary things. We use our time properly because we know, like Chanika Pandit said, if time passes, we cannot get it back. Even if we are very rich and ready to pay thousands and millions of dollars, so we won't be able to get it back. It is gone, it is gone. You don't want to come back, that is gone. I got to Bhagavatam where the sun rises and sets. What the time has done is that it has reduced the duration of our life. Therefore, pure devotees who good leaders, they are very conscious of this, that they will not allow time to pass without them being engaged in tangible things, something wonderful they can give account of happily to their master or the supreme master at the time. Correspondingly, as caretaker of others, as you fulfill your leadership responsibilities, consider that time belongs not to you, but to all those who you represent. Yes, so we cannot waste people's time. We cannot, and we shouldn't waste people's time, because we know that we are representing them. So we have to support and help everyone to be very, very, very responsible by setting example by ourselves. We cannot waste people's time. And we are going to have a meeting at 2 o'clock. We should not come by 2:30. We're wasting our people's time. And when we do come, we should not speak unnecessary things and keep people in a meeting to the point that people are getting worried. Second, then anytime you waste, it's not only your personal time, but their time as well. This should be understood. We are wasting the time, not just our own time. If a leader of a group of 10 million of people engages in irresponsible, illicit, or corrupt activities, those activities are multiplied by 10 million. You can then begin to see how serious an affair this is. Not just one individual time is being wasted in such a situation. A leader is in effect attacking millions of people, devaluing their time by failing to see it productively for the benefit of all. It's the responsibility of a leader. Everything we have to do should be it on time. Everything should be on time. We should manage people properly so that they will value it and appreciate our leadership by how we diligently and carefully use our time and use their time. So this factor alone should serve as a reminder to be sensitive and mindful of our role as a caretaker of others and as a representative of God. If we have things to be done, should be done on time, so that people do not think that we are wasting their time and miss so many good opportunities. So we have examples, those who positively use time. One example here is Narada Muni. It's a small boy. Narada Muni became a pure devotee in 4 months because he didn't waste his time. He was absorbed in his practice so much so that everything was accomplished perfectly on time. So for 4 months, he became a pure devotee, just like the mother also became a pure devotee in 6 months, because he did not spend his time for unnecessary things. They were focused. The leaders have to be focused on our duty and on time. We may do things nicely, but if it is not done in good time, it has effect. Same must happen. We should do things on time. It's very important to do things on time. Very important to do things on time. We also remember Kadwanga Maharaj. In a moment, he became a pure devotee in a moment. He didn't waste time. And another perfect example is our own Acharya, who very perfectly used his time in Krishna consciousness. There's no space. There's no space for idleness. There's no idle time. All the time is completely packed. At a every given time, he doing something. And I saw his very particular Maharaj. You never, since the time I have met him until the time he left, I have never at any time seen him doing nothing, morose, confused, and whether. Never. Every time he's fixed. Every time he's fixed at doing something. It must be something. He is preaching, he is guiding disciples, he is he is arranging, he's getting the necessary for, or he is writing, he's reading, he's preaching, he's talking. There is no free time. He is fully busy. And the last thing he does when he's going to bed is to ask his special master. If there were some other things he wanted him to do that he did not do, he carefully communicated with his special master to see how he is. He is very conscious of time, conscious of duty, conscious of Krishna's position and everything. And all the devotees that are being guided, directed by him. And not to go too far, Mr. Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, sleep less. Why? So he could have more time to serve the nation. He loves people so much that he knows the value of time. He knows the importance of not wasting people's time. Therefore, for him to be able to achieve this, he sleep less time. So he could have more time. That is true. If you sleep less time, you will see that you have more time for many things. You finish a job on time, you finish a reading on time, you finish all services on time, and then you have more time to read and do other things. Yes. So we have these great personalities here. The Muni, although he's a small boy, Maharaj, Dhira, Maharaj, is a good example. Also, he's a small boy. He was 5 years started. Kapanga Maharaj, for him, he's a Maharaj. But in a very short time, from austerities, and the austerity yielded results. And presently, we have another sage here, Narendra Modi, the present-day Prime Minister of India. He did this to show us how a leader should use time, how a leader should perfectly be on time for everything, and in this way, lead the people perfectly in such a way that it does not waste people's time. We also have some other negative examples of people who does not use time properly, and the negative consequences that came with it. One example here we have Maharaj Nakush. He didn't use his time properly. Although he was a sadhu, he was practicing very nicely. But when he was requested to become a temporal Indra, he did not manage himself properly. He did not manage his time properly. And it caused his untimely death. We have pretending spiritual leaders in modern times. The people who may externally present themselves as spiritual leaders, mentors, but they have nothing practically to show. Instead, they waste the time of those who depend on them. We have demons of the past. We also have the present day demons who are doing the same thing but in a lesser way. Our modern leaders, all the modern leaders, and also the pretending spiritual leaders, all are the same. Right? We come to item number 4. Detachment from the effect of time. Practically, everything in day-to-day existence deteriorates at this time. Human lives and bodies are temporary, constantly undergoing different stages of change. Every aspect of the material world follows the same pattern. It is created or produced. It remains for a while. It begins to dwindle, fade away, or deteriorate, and eventually it is completely destroyed. No one can escape this. No single person can escape this. Everything in this material world is governed by time, controlled by time. Everything and everyone. And no one can escape it. Except we are not conditioned souls. As conditioned souls, we cannot avoid it. Considering that this Bhagavad Gita 2:14 address this issue very nicely. Considering that all things are transient, the people can learn to perceive events just as if they were the changing to seasons. At a certain moment, one may become depressed by some misfortune, and at other times feel exhilarated by some agreeable event over the anticipation of something pleasant. The karmic pendulum swings. A person will experience both happiness and sadness. This is the underlying duality of the material world. A wise individual tries to keep a certain equilibrium, not becoming overly attached to happiness or concern by distress, knowing that all situations are relative and will eventually change. Such a person is said to be in a state of equipoise, and this state is a symptom of one who is nearing self-realization. Such a human being does not identify fully with the three-dimensional world, but rather with the higher dimensions. The time changes everything. If we're a thoughtful person, a leader, should understand and not to be disturbed at any stage. At any stage. Rather, he should be welcome, he should be respected, because this material world is made in that way, is made in that way. That everything here on earth goes 16 years, and they will always go that way, except they are not attaching to conditions. So, as far as it is conditions, condition means what? When we subjected to a particular thing, we cannot change, because it is not within our power. Therefore, we should not be worried about distress, neither should we be jubilating when things appear palatable to our senses. Yes. Much of the confusion about higher dimensions result from a narrow-minded concept of time and an extreme attachment to the temporary pleasures of the material senses. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna stresses that One who is dear to him is unaffected by happiness or distress. Speaking to his great disciple Arjuna, Krishna explains that anyone who is powerful, effective, and genuinely noble will not be disturbed by victory or defeat. Such a person will act with a sense of maturity and balance. Means a devotee or a leader should be above duality. Like it is said, Raja is a saintly king, saintly leader, a responsible leader. Should have wisdom, should have knowledge about the scripture, for the soul, for the body, for this material world, about the source of everything. So one does not become confused about higher dimensions result from a narrow-minded concept of time and extreme attachment to the temporal pleasures of the material senses. Those who are broad-minded will never have this challenge with difficulty. They will understand. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna stresses that one who is dear to him is unaffected by happiness and distress, victory or defeat. It is all the same thing, short and tall, black and white, day and night, inside and outside. It's the same thing. Someone who becomes greatly exhilarated in good times can become equally disturbed when events take a turn for the worse. But middle of the roaders are less affected by the twists and turns of fate. If you dwell on your successes and failures, you may become too preoccupied to carry out your responsibilities effectively. Instead, you must learn to regroup very quickly and to remain unconcerned with temporary ups and downs. Any upset of yours can affect all the people who are taking shelter under your leadership. This fact alone can provide you with a good reason to maintain a balance. Yes. Any upset of yours can affect all the people who are taking shelter under your leadership. I know in the military, if the leader and they have a war to fight or a difficult task to undertake, like war. If they observe, they notice that the leader is afraid the remaining people will kill him. All these people behind him will kill him. Why? Because his fear is going to weaken everyone, and in that way to lead them to destruction. So better to do with one than to take the life of many. So any upset of yours can affect all the people who are taking shelter under your leadership. So leader must be upright, considerate. And you should know what affects the head will affect all part of it. Therefore, a leader, it is this is a local adage. a local language, not a scriptural one. And when something happened to a child will cry from the eyes, a tear will come from there. But an adult, experienced person, a mature person, he doesn't cry from the eyes, he cries in the mind. So understanding this fact alone can provide us with a good reason to maintain our balance. We have example from Machandra remained reposed. Although the situation was very terrible, but he was reposed. He was going to be coronated. And those few hours to his coronation, just few hours to his coronation, or less than an hour to his coronation, for him to ascend the throne, he was informed that he cannot get it. He has to go to the forest to go. So, not that he cannot get his remains in the palace there, but he cannot get it, and he's going to leave the kingdom and go to the forest for 10 years. If he survive it, very good. Oh, no, otherwise, you don't survive it, that is over. But he accepted it. He accepted it as he accepted the good news of the father. He's going to succeed his father. He received both good news in good state of mind, in the perfect state. Yes, because he has come to teach us this process, and he cannot teach us perfectly if he himself is not a master in that field. Because he's a master, he can teach us. He was proposed. When he was given the news that he's going to ascend the kingdom, and when he was informed that he's not going to sit on the throne, but he's going to go to the forest, he accepted everything. He accepted everything equally. Even one Lakshmana reacted seriously. I was angry. I wanted to bend down, to close down the city. Ramachandra said, my brother, this is not the time for this. This is not the time for this. As you raise their voice and raise for good, please bring them down. This is not the time for this. The order of our Father is our life and soul. So we have to carry it on our head and execute it to the full satisfaction. And what will make the difference? Make the difference. So last one is okay. What to do? The purity of Lord Machandra influenced Lakshmana to also come to his level. In other words, he lifted him to his level. And the beauty of it is a perfect opportunity. He lifted him to his level that in Lakshmana, Lord Lakshmana became also calm, peaceful, and considerate, like his senior brother, Ramchandra. Yes. And here also we have a very good example. So talk an example. Dhira Bhismade. Pitama. Bhismade. He was to succeed his father, Maharaj Santanu. But sorry. He was happy there. He was happy with it. He was satisfied with that. Like ascending the throne of his father, he was satisfied with that. But when there is a conflict that needs to be resolved, and he is responsible for that. He saw that his father was feeling despondent. He went to his father to inquire what was the cause of his disturbance. Maharaj Santanu couldn't speak directly to him. He spoke in a proverb, in a poetic language. Bishmadev, he looked into the case and showed that the father was not opening up because it concerns him, and it's something, it's a serious conflict in his mind. How can he tell his dear, most wonderful, exceptional son, who is equal to millions of demigods, be deprived of his rights? How can that? And also his mind had been pierced by the arrows of Cupid for Bhakti. So conflict permeated his consciousness. This way, he looked at it and saw the situation. He went to the charioteer of his father, who explained everything to him. This way, immediately said, "Take me there." He was taken there. And he met the lady and the father. So everything was explained. The lady explained her situation and the father explained. So Bishmadev, being equal to all situations, because he knows whatever thing he does will affect the whole world, he's had to set a perfect example that anyone at any time, at all times, anywhere, can follow and become successful. So Bishmadev, he said, I don't mind. Don't disturb me. I said, don't worry for anything. Give your daughter to me. I'm taking her to my father. I want my father to have her. And the fisherman, he said, wait. Today you can tell me this, and you're not joking. Everybody knows your stand. That I'm very much aware. Everybody knows your stand. So that is not a problem. There is a problem, not this one. Bishmadev inquired, which one is that? I'm equal to that. So he said, Satyavati's father said, yes, you have given your kingdom to my grandson. Your children will not take it. They will be fight. And because you came from the ruling section, like you have power, my children will never, my grandchildren will never, or my grandchild will never meet with your children because they're stronger. They will be like you. Immediately upon hearing this, Bishmadev declared, then I will marry. So he was equal to accepting the leadership of his father's kingdom. And it was also equal to being denied of that because he wanted to please his father, which is his duty. A responsibility of a disciple is to assist the spiritual master in his service to his spiritual master, relieving him from all anxiety. A disciple should not act with anxiety. A disciple should relieve the spiritual master from anxiety. Bishmadev is perfect example for this. He's equal to all. If he has set a standard, he led a life, the principle which is eternity, and is the crown necessary for those who are worthy of that crown, for those who followed in his footsteps. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear Srila Gurudev. Thank you so much. We are now opening the floor to the questions, devotees. So, in case you have any questions, you may raise your hand on Zoom, or alternatively, you can also type your question in the chat box. So,
Hare Krishna.
Srila Gurudev, we have a question from Pranhari Prabhu.
All right, Prabhu. Come on.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Thank you very much. I think
Krishna
you
is
are,
okay. We see one side.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Happy to see you.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Maharaj, thank you for touching the topic, which is we find it is one of our weakness. I think you are touching all the points which is we feel that it should be done for us only. Okay, Maharaj, the question is basically like I still find myself, like we are learning so many things in Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, and we are still not able to grasp the knowledge. And we came a little late, but still we find that there are too many pending for us to cover it, and I feel that time is very less. So how do we manage this, to speed up our process?
I think that it's better to do one thing, just one thing nicely, than to try to do 100 things and none of them is good. It's better to just take one thing and just do that nicely. Although there are many things for us to do. And all of them are very important. But since we don't have the time, this is part of it. Time. It's time. We're dealing with time. Since we don't have that time, it means that we don't also have that duration of time that is required for us to do things. It is better for us to understand time's potency, time's power, by taking just one thing and do it nicely. At least we will succeed by doing like that. Even in the material, in the secular world, in the material world, trying to do thousands of things at the same time imperfectly is condemned. It is called Jack, Mr. Jack, of trade, and
Master of none.
It's a master of none. It's a failure. It's a failure. The better we just take one thing and just face it, so we know that this is what I'm holding on to. Even though the whole world is falling on my head, I'm holding to this, and this is what I'm going to present to my master, that this is what I can offer. It's better for us to do that. That also will save our time. I hope I communicated properly.
Yes, Maharaj, very nice. Thank you very much. Maharaj, yeah. Maharaj, one more thing. This three modes of material nature. This they fluctuate every time. Sometime we engross in one of the mode. Goodness, we are very less. I know that, and the passion and ignorance, we are much in that. So sometimes with coming out of that is also a big challenge, and then we find that, we wasted so much of time on that. So how do we recover that?
Yes. I just give you a practical. Just give you something practical. Yes, these modes are very heavy. And you see, particularly in Kali Yuga, you see there are so many things against us. In Kali Yuga, so many things against us. Our minds against us, our intelligence against us, our senses against us. The body is against us, the environment is against us, the air, the food, everything is against us. Neighbors, both moving and non-moving, even the property is against everything goes against us. So this is a situation in the material world. And so you see, like me, I was speaking with all my strength as much as I can. I was speaking that 2 hours. After that, heavy managerial issue I handled. All with the stomach, with empty stomach. Then after that, I just took something small. And enter another heavy managerial issue. Then I said, oh, it is already 2:30 something. I quickly started set the camera to come to the meeting. You see, when I started speaking, my body was, the moods was coming inside. But I tried to squeeze myself, and eventually now I became sharp. So we have to keep trying. We have to keep trying. This is a practical thing. Just happened. I'm telling you. And then if you go to the scripture, Bhagavad recommended that we should maintain a steady practice. Steady practice. If we maintain steady practice with all the things that are going against us, we will succeed. Mam chayo the beach arena, what the yoga na say that sa guna that much daitan. Brahma buya kalpati. Ababi charena. That is our hope. Constant practice without the fall down, without the break. Just steady practice. Ababi charena. Ababi chareni. This is a word Krishna used many times about it, especially chapter 13, chapter 14. Krishna used this word many times. Ababi charini and Ababi charena. Same thing. Steady practice. We should be steady in our practice. That is a chance for us to transcend the mood. And physically make effort. Physically make effort. Physically make effort means what? If I'm not speaking, I will have stand up. I will have stand up to give the body a different push so that you can remain active and continue. But so this is a physical endeavor to remain alive, to remain fixed, to transcend the mood. We can do many things. If you are doing japa, you can stand up. If you walk, if the model, so we increase the moving that way. At least we're making effort, and Krishna is seeing the effort we're making, that I don't want to be in this negative mood, but I want to come to the higher mood. But many things are against me. So the effort we're making, Krishna will see and help us. Steady practice. And looking into what we eat also. And taking care of our body also. These are physical things we should do. We already we already have a formula for developing goodness, which we do waking up early in the morning to chant, to hear spiritual things, the kind of food we eat, the kind of literature we have, the kind of association we have. All these facilities given to us by the Prabhupada to rise to goodness, and then the Sudha Sattva. All right.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Shri Gurudev. We have a question from the YouTube comment section.
Yes.
The question is it ethical to ask Lord Krishna to give bhakti to someone? Will it not be interfering with that person's free will? What if he or she is not interested in bhakti?
A pure devotee can request Krishna to give pure bhakti to disciples who are falling very nicely. But we cannot pray for someone to Krishna to give bhakti to someone who does not practice, not do anything. It doesn't make sense. So it's better for us to for the spiritual master to pray for these disciples, for devotees who are already in the practice, who are doing nicely. So please, that this devotee are trying to be like we just mentioned at the mode is heavy and but we're still struggling. We just push ourselves to do something. So a spiritual master, hey, see this devotee, it has the weakness and all this thing, but he's pushing. Please, Krishna, help him or help her. That is perfect. That we should do, or not a person who is not doing anything and not interested. That is not proper. We can pray. The Christians should help them to come to devotional way. That we can pray, but not that we just pray. It too high. Just like you're giving. They say what? You are giving pearls to swine. Pearls. What will you do with it? It's a waste. Right? Kamsa became a gopi, but what did he do with it? He was very, very disturbed by that. Right? All of you are praying seriously to Krishna every morning. Please, Tulsi Devi, Brenda Devi, please make me a servant of the gopis, Manjaris, please give me a shelter. Give me a qualification to serve the gopis, to serve the Sakis, Manjaris, Gopas. But the Kamsa got that. And he said, no, I don't want this. This is, I have so many wives. What would I do with the gopi dress? No, I don't want. Can you imagine that? So it doesn't make sense to pray to Krishna, give a demon prema. It doesn't make sense. We should not do that. Tell the person they should pray to Krishna, he should give me bhakti. I will be happy with you. All right.
Yes, Srila Gurudev. Srila Gurudev, we don't have any more questions. So we would like to thank you very much for the session you've taken for us today. And we're very eager to hear the second part of this on managing time, which is going to deal with how to effectively use our time. So we're very grateful to you, Srila Gurudev. We see that you always have time for us and you are giving us so much. And we're praying that we can make the best use of it. Thank you so much, Srila Gurudev.
Yes, my time is for all of you. That's why we are here. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much,
Prabhupada Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai.
All right.
His Holiness Bhakti Dhira Damodara Swami Maharaj ki jai.
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 Hare Krishna.